Create this checklist over time that becomes this Mondo checklist of what ultimately creates an exceptional video that performs.
That's what I want, Alex. Can you give me your script checklist?
I watched 35 of my YouTube videos and then I was like, okay, what are all the things that happen in each one of them? So I wrote them all down.
All right then, walk me through each of the 12 steps to create a $100 million YouTube script.
You need to obsess about your first 30 seconds.
I've heard that before, but is there something I should avoid in the intro?
Don't claim you haven't done.
Okay, well, I've made over $5 million in revenue. I have a channel with 7,000 subscribers. Is that something I should include in my script?
Proof, motherfucker. Proof.
Whoa, Alex. All right, here are 2 screenshots and here are some more.
It's okay. It's fine.
Thank you. Now tell me what gold you found last weekend.
This last weekend, I watched my top 35 YouTube videos. I watched the first 3 minutes of all of them. I wanted to figure out like, what was it that I did in these videos that I didn't do in other videos that had similar average view duration, but I didn't carry as many people through. I'll just share this with you. The 3 Ps that I found, at least for us, which is promise, proof, path.
Very interesting, but before you explain your hook framework with examples and the difference between educational and entertainment intro, I first want to know, what are your retention secrets?
My favorite driver of retention is curiosity. It's my favorite because if done correctly, people will wait years. People want to know what happens next. For example, I get messages daily for years about when I will release my next book on sales.
Okay, but I want to know the practical things that I can add to this checklist that I'm working on.
My favorite way to get the audience curious is to embed questions in their mind. Unresolved questions can be explicit or implicit. You can directly ask the question or the question can be implied. My 3 favorite ways to embed questions are lists, steps, and stories.
Okay, so can you give me some examples for when I use a list in my script?
Lists are things, facts, tips, opinions, ideas, etc., presented one after the other. Good lists in free content also follow a theme. Think top 10 mistakes or 5 biggest moneymakers and so on. Giving the number of listed items in your headline or in the first few seconds of your content tells people what to expect. And in my experience, this retains more of the audience's attention for longer. Example, 7 ways I invested $1,000 in my 20s that paid off big. Example, 28 ways to stay poor. Example, a content unit has 3 pieces.
Okay, what about steps?
Steps are actions that occur in order and accomplish a goal when completed. Provided the early steps were clear and valuable, the person will want to know how to do them all to accomplish their overall goal. Example, 3 steps to creating a great hook. Example, how I create a headline in 7 steps. Example, the morning routine that boosts my productivity.
Before you share the stories part, what is the difference between steps and lists?
Here's the difference between steps and lists. Steps are actions that must be done in a specific order to get a result. So steps are less flexible but have a bit more explicit reward. Lists can have just about anything on them in any order you want. So lists are more flexible but have less explicit reward.
Aha, so steps are in order and are more explicit, meaning they have a more obvious reward instead of lists like this one, which has an implied reward like shown in this image. Now what about stories?
Stories describe events, real or imaginary, and stories worth telling often have some lesson or takeaway for the listener. You can tell stories about things that have happened, might happen, or will never happen. All 3 drive curiosity because people want to know what happens next. Example, almost every chapter in this book has a story. Example, my editor made me do 19 drafts of this book. Here's what I did to him. Ha. Example, my journey from sleeping on the bottom floor of a gym to the top floor of a 5-star hotel.
Okay, before I ask you about your intro framework, can we combine steps, lists, and stories?
You can intermix all 3 of them. So you can have a list of things and have steps within the list and then tell stories about each step.
What about call to actions, like a sponsor?
Motherfucker, the reason you built this audience was to direct them somewhere.
Whoa, Alex, I'm not a motherfucker.
Jordan, fight me.
You can fight Iman Gutsy if you want.
The more you're cognizant, the more that you're cognizant and you're aware of,
the more
Back to serious mode. Before I ask you about your YouTube script experiment, I first want to know how you do make sure that people don't drop off whenever you mention a lead magnet.
I think the problem is less about CTAs. I think it's more that there's not enough value in general. And so it's like if you make the video and half of it's CTA, there's just not enough value. You haven't like deposited enough to create motivation for somebody to take action. And so as long as you have a banging video, like you can put CTAs in. It's just don't take up a huge amount of time. Let them know, like, what is it? Why is it important? How do they get it? That's it. And then just move on. And just keep it very simple.
So these are like 30 seconds in the middle?
Oh, I think they're even less. They're just like, hey, if you like this and you're trying to grow your company, I was like, we just started acquisition.com workshop divisions. Like, so if you're, 1 to 20 million, I was like, it's probably a good set for you. You can check it out. And that's it.
Okay, so what about this example, Alex, where I did a 6-month experiment where I uploaded 311 videos during 6 months. And this was one of the results. Same video on the channel with 389 subscribers, it got 169 views. But on the channel with only 3 subscribers, it got over 1,000 views. Same video. You want the full report? Alex?
Okay.
You know where to find it. So what about your experiment, Alex?
And so when I looked at the top 100 or whatever YouTube videos I had, the ones that were the top 10 all had proof promise plan.
Okay, before I want to know from you why this doesn't work for entertainment videos like Mr. Beast, can you first give an example of the 3 Ps?
Hey, I sold my company for $46.2 million. A big part of that was that we had a guarantee that beat all of our competitors. And so we did 4 things that we used that made our guarantee stronger.
Well, that's a lot of proof, Alex. What do you recommend for beginners?
If you're newer, you can show proof of effort. So I could have said, I made 35,000 posts. That's still enough work that people were like,
Well, I don't want to do that work. I want to see what he learned.
Yeah, so that's what I did. My 6-month algorithm experiment. That's the proof part. And the promise is often implied within the proof. But what about the P of plan?
the path, in my opinion, is just to show that there is structure and you can set expectations and then meet the expectations. I think that's more about watch time. The first 2 are about why should I stay? That's what's going to happen.
Okay, so is the plan really that important? I mean, would it increase my views and average view duration?
I think your stuff's really good. You need to learn more presentation skills. And that's okay. That's not like this is me trying to help. And so I think that you could probably take the same content you're currently making and just simply structure it better, and you'd probably get 10 times the views.
Whoa, how much?
10 times!
Okay, but you had private calls with Mr. Beast. Like, what did you learn from him?
The big difference between educators and entertainers, they don't think that way. And maybe I'll find out in 2 years I'm wrong here, but this is what I think right now, which is that like there was a huge obsession of like match the exact words of the headline with the first however many seconds of the video, confirm the thumbnail in the background. And that's really because if you say,
Hey, we're going to crush a Lamborghini, and
they go and it's a talking head, there's no Lamborghini, they're like,
screw this.
and they're out, right? But if you're educating, then I think the Lamborghini in our situation is proof. The big Vegas lights of why should I listen to you?
Okay, so what has been the biggest mistake you have seen with intros?
The first 8 seconds of your video, you want to be done talking about what the video is going to be about and start. And this is something that when I see a beginner video, I watch and it's like 2 minutes before they actually start the video. You've already lost everyone. And so you're going to lose most people in the first 30 seconds. And so you want to crush the intro so they know it's exactly what you promised in the thumbnail headline. And then you get to the meat as fast as possible.
So like Imangatsi?
The more you're cognizant, the more that you're cognizant and you're aware of,
The more.
What do you think about his hook, Alex?
No.
Okay, then tell us, what does it take to make a high-performing intro?
This video right here, we did 8 different takes of the intro. I slowly worked from 30 seconds down to 8, and then that's what became the intro that you saw before seeing this moment right now.
Really? That sounds like a lot of work, Alex.
We will sometimes go through an entire video and finish it, and I'll be like,
I think we can do that one just again, but better.
and they're like,
Just run it again.
and so we run it again. And sometimes we get at the end, we're like, I feel like we could do it better the 3rd time. It's like, all right, even though I've just said the same thing for the last 2 hours, because I just did an hour-long video, took it again, hour-long video, took it again, and then the 3rd try it comes out perfect, and then it crushes. And so like one of my favorite sayings in training is awesome again. Like you're training a sales guy, you're like awesome again. And so you're training yourself.
It's impressive. So what do you think about the light variant from Ali Abdul?
I will film the hook at the end of the video. So this is a practical tip. If you struggle with hooks, if you find yourself overthinking them, you can try filming them at the end of the video session.
Okay.
So what is the next most important piece to a YouTube script, Alex?
State the facts and tell the truth. Say what no one else can say, show what no one else can show.
Reminds me of your early days, Alex.
Unique, expensive, sticky air.
Sounds like you could use some better air there. But you always come up with these crazy frameworks. But how can I, myself, come up with my own framework based on my own unique videos?
You drink in a ton of data, you get everything, and then you circle where are the commonalities.
Yeah, I like that the most, Alex. It's why I'm working on an automated social media dashboard where I can check all my account stats and views for each platform.
If you're a business owner, I would not gauge views as whether the video is good or not. It just shows how relevant it is to how many people.
I know, that's why I literally track every important metric in that dashboard so you know where to find it. But then Alex, what would you say is more important?
It's about value per second, not seconds of value.
If you want to know what he means with that, watch this video next. Talk soon.